The repair bay hummed with the soft buzz of cooling engines and distant machinery. Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead as he tightened the last bolt on a transport vessel's thruster assembly. Another long shift at Meridian Station was finally ending. The trading post never truly slept, but the deep hours between midnight and dawn belonged to people like him. The forgotten mechanics who kept the galaxy's ships flying. Marcus had worked alone for 3 years now, ever since his discharge. From the Colonial Defense Force, the solitude suited him. No commanding officers barking orders, no life or death missions, just simple repairs and honest work. He cleaned his tools methodically, each wrench and scanner finding its proper place on the magnetic wall rack. A soft scraping sound made him pause. Metal against metal, barely audible over the station's ambient noise. Marcus set down his toolkit and listened. There it was again, coming from behind the spare parts storage unit. He grabbed a flashlight and moved cautiously toward the sound. "Hello?" he called softly. "Station security." Silence answered him. Marcus rounded the corner of the storage unit and swept his light across the narrow space. Empty fuel canisters, discarded hull plating, and coils of optical cable filled the cramped area. Then his beam caught something else, a pair of large, luminous eyes reflecting his light. The creature pressed itself against the far wall, no bigger than a human child. Its skin held a faint, bluish tint that seemed to shimmer in the flashlights. Glow, delicate features, and silver-white hair marked it as clearly non-human, though remarkably humanoid. Torn fabric covered its small frame, and dark stains suggested recent injury. "Easy there," Marcus said gently, lowering his light. "I'm not going to hurt you." The being, definitely a young female by her appearance, remained frozen. Her breathing came in quick, shallow gasps. Marcus could see intelligence in those remarkable eyes, along with unmistakable fear. He slowly crouched down, making himself less threatening. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "Do you understand me?" She tilted her head slightly, studying him. When she spoke, her voice carried a musical quality, despite its weakness. "Please, ... Don't tell them." "Tell who?" Marcus kept his voice low and calm. "Who's looking for you?" Instead of answering, she pressed one small hand against her side. Dark liquid seeped between her fingers. Blood, though it held an odd prismatic quality in the light. She was definitely injured. Marcus faced a choice. Station regulations required him to report any unauthorized aliens immediately. The Colonial Authority maintained strict policies about unregistered extraterrestrials, especially refugees from the ongoing conflicts in the outer systems. But looking at this frightened child, those regulations seemed less important than simple human decency. "My name is Marcus," he said quietly. "What's yours?" "Zara," she whispered. "Okay, Zara. I'm going to help you, but first I need to close up the bay. Can you walk?" She nodded weakly and allowed him to help her stand. Marcus was surprised by how light she felt, almost delicate. He guided her to a small office at the back of the repair bay, a cramped space with a cot, basic food supplies, and a tiny medical kit. "Sit here," he said, helping her onto the cot. "Let me see that wound." Zara hesitated, then lifted her hand. The injury wasn't deep, but it clearly needed attention. Marcus cleaned it gently with antiseptic, noting how her skin seemed to sparkle faintly at his touch. She winced, but didn't cry out.
Ow.
"This might sting," he warned, as he applied a healing patch. To his amazement, the wound began closing immediately, far faster than human tissue could heal. "Thank you," Zara said, her voice growing stronger. "You were kind. Just basic first aid." Marcus offered her a ration bar and a water pouch. "When did you last eat?" She accepted the food eagerly, confirming his suspicion that she'd been hiding. For some time, she ate. Marcus found himself studying her features. Despite her obvious alien heritage, something about her seemed familiar, almost comforting. "Zara, I have to ask, are you here alone? Where are your parents?" Her large eyes filled with sadness. "Separated. The ship broke apart during jump." "Don't know, ... I'm sorry." Marcus felt a protective instinct stirring. "You can stay here tonight. Tomorrow, we'll figure out what to do." For the first time, Zara smiled. The expression transformed her entire face, radiating warmth despite her exhaustion. You would do this for me? Everyone deserves help when they need it, Marcus replied simply, as she settled onto the cot. Pulling a blanket around her small form, Marcus realized his quiet life was about to become much more complicated. But watching her finally relax, seeing trust replace fear in those remarkable eyes, he knew he'd made the right choice. 3 days passed in careful routine. Marcus brought Zara food and water during his breaks, checked her healing wound, and gradually learned more about his unexpected guest. She possessed remarkable intelligence, quickly picking up technical terms as she watched him work. Her wound had healed completely, leaving only the faintest silver mark on her pale skin. Your people heal quickly, Marcus observed as they shared a simple meal in his office. We're safe. Yes, Zara replied. Fear and stress slow the healing, but you make me feel safe. Marcus found himself looking forward to these conversations. Zara's perspective on human technology fascinated him. She saw patterns and connections he'd never noticed. When she touched his diagnostic scanner, its display showed readings far more detailed than usual. How did you do that? He asked Zara. Looked puzzled. Do what? I only looked at the broken connections in the machine's thinking parts. Before Marcus could ask more questions, a soft chime indicated someone was at the bay's main entrance. Through the security monitor, he saw a tall figure in a hooded cloak. Something about the visitor's graceful posture reminded him of Zara. Stay. Hidden, he whispered, but Zara was already standing, her eyes bright with hope. Marcus opened the entrance, and the hooded figure stepped inside. When she lowered her hood, he found himself looking at an older version of Zara, the same luminous eyes, the same delicate features, but with an aura of strength and dignity that took his breath away. I am Nyx, she said, her voice carrying the same musical quality as Zara's. I believe you have been caring for my daughter, Mother. Zara ran from the office and into Nyx's embrace. The reunion brought tears to Marcus's eyes. He'd lost his own parents years ago and remembered that fierce joy of family connections. Thank you, Nyx, said to Marcus over Zara's head. You have given us something precious. Time together. She needed help. Anyone would have done the same. Nyx's expression suggested otherwise. You would be surprised how many anyone's chose to look away. Your kindness has created a debt we can never fully repay. As mother and daughter held each other, Marcus noticed the air around them seemed to shimmer slightly, like heat waves. What are you people? What species? Your Stellari, Nyx explained. Our world was destroyed in the recent conflicts between the colonial authority and the hegemony. Caught between two powers, neither caring about our neutrality. Knew about the Outer Rim Wars, though details were classified. Your refugees? Yes. Our ship carried 300 survivors, but it was damaged during a forced jump. We scattered across several systems. Nyx's voice carried deep sadness. Most families were separated. Many are still lost. But you found each other. Found her because of you, Nyx said quietly. Our people share a unique bond. When one of us experiences strong emotions, fear, joy, love, others can sense it across great distances. For days, I felt only Zara's terror, then suddenly peace, safety. I followed that feeling here. Marcus felt heat rise in his cheeks as Nyx's gaze met his. She was beautiful in an otherworldly way, but more than that, she radiated a strength that drew him. I'm glad I could help. There is something else you should know, Nyx continued. The bond works both ways. Zara has been unconsciously sharing your emotions too. Your loneliness, your quiet strength, your genuine care for others. She has been ... comforted by your heart. Zara looked up at her mother, then at Marcus. I felt your sadness about your parents, your happiness when you fix broken things. It's like music in my mind. The revelation stunned Marcus. You mean she's been reading my thoughts, not thoughts? Nyx corrected. Feelings. Deep emotions that humans often hide even from themselves. It's not something we control. It simply happens when we feel safe with someone. Marcus wasn't sure how to process this information. His privacy had been invaded, yet somehow it felt intimate rather than intrusive. What happens now? Can't stay here forever. Eventually someone will notice. Nix's expression grew troubled. I know. Finding safe passage is difficult. The authority treats all refugees as potential threats. And the smugglers who offer transport often sell their passengers to slavers instead. What if you didn't have to leave? Marcus surprised himself with the question. I mean, what if we found a way for you to stay legally? I would require citizenship papers, work permits, medical documentation, Nix said. Things we don't have and can't obtain without revealing ourselves. Marcus thought about his contacts from his military service. People who owed him favors. Maybe I know someone who could help, but it would take time to arrange. Nix stepped closer, placing her hand gently on his arm. The touch sent warmth through his entire body, and he saw her eyes widen slightly. You would take such risks for strangers. You're not strangers anymore, Marcus replied honestly. And Zara, ... She's special. I can see that. You both are. A moment the air between them crackled with unspoken possibility. Then Zara tugged at her mother's sleeve. Mother, I'm tired. Can we rest here tonight? If Marcus permits it, Nix said softly. Of course. Marcus cleared his throat, trying to regain his composure. Can use my office. I'll sleep in the workshop. As they settled in for the night, Marcus realized his feelings were growing complicated. What had started as simple kindness was becoming something deeper, more personal. And from the way Nix looked at him, he suspected she felt it too. 2 weeks passed in a rhythm that felt surprisingly natural. Marcus continued his repair work during regular shifts while Nix and Zara remained hidden in his workshop. He brought them meals, supplies, and gradually, his trust grew into something deeper. Nix proved remarkably skilled with technology. Her intuitive understanding of energy patterns helping Marcus solve complex repair problems in half the usual time. She worked beside him in the evenings, their hands occasionally brushing. As they shared tools, each touch sent small electric thrills through Marcus, and he noticed Nix's breath would catch slightly when their skin met. Your repairs are much more efficient now, Marcus observed one evening as they finished calibrating a navigation system. The ship's owners will be impressed. Stellari sea energy is living patterns, Nix explained, her fingers dancing across the control panel, which you call circuits, we see as flowing rivers of light. When the flow is disrupted, she placed her hand over his, guiding his fingers to a particular junction. Here. Do you feel how the energy wants to flow differently? Marcus felt heat from her touch more than any energy pattern, but he nodded. I think so. Good. Nix smiled, an expression that lit up her entire face. You learn quickly. Meanwhile, Zara continued to amaze him with her rapidly developing abilities. She could diagnose mechanical problems with a glance and seemed to instinctively understand how different systems connected. But more than her technical skills, her joy and curiosity reminded Marcus why he'd fallen in love with engineering in the first place. Marcus, Zara said one afternoon, why do you work alone? Humans are social creatures, aren't they? Some of us are, Marcus replied carefully. Others find peace in solitude. But you're not peaceful, Zara observed with startling directness. You're lonely. I can feel it sometimes, like a cold wind inside you. Marcus paused in his work. You feel that? Since the first night, Zara said gently. But it's getting warmer. Like sunrise after a long night. That evening, as Zara slept, on the cot in his office, Marcus and Nix sat together in the workshop's main area, sharing a simple dinner. The conversation had grown easier over the weeks, moving from practical concerns to personal stories. Tell me about your world, Marcus said. Before the war, Nix's expression grew distant, beautiful beyond description. Crystal cities that sang. In the wind, gardens that grew light instead of flowers. Zara's father was an architect. He designed spaces where music and mathematics became visible art. Was Marcus asked gently, killed in the first bombing? He stayed behind to help others evacuate while Zara and I ran to the ships. Nix's voice carried old pain. I should have made him come with us. Marcus reached across the small table and covered her hand with his. He made his choice. Brave choice. Nyx turned her hand palm up, intertwining their fingers. You remind me of him sometimes. Will you care more about others' safety than your own? I'm just a mechanic, Nyx. Nothing special. You're wrong. Her luminous eyes met his directly. You have a rare gift, the ability to see beyond differences to the person underneath. Most humans would have reported us immediately. Most humans haven't had the chance to know you. They sat in comfortable silence, hands still linked. Marcus felt a connection forming that went beyond simple attraction. Something deeper and more complex. He sensed Nyx felt it too from the way her breathing had changed. Marcus, she said quietly, there's something else you should know about my people. When we form deep emotional bonds, especially romantic ones, it creates a permanent psychic link. We share feelings, dreams, sometimes even thoughts. Are you warning me or asking permission? Nyx's smile was soft, but complex. Both, perhaps. I can feel what's growing between us, and I know you feel it too. But such bonds change you forever. You would never be fully alone again. Marcus considered this. Permanent connection to another person. It should have terrified him. Instead, it felt like a gift. Would it hurt Zara, having another person in your network? She already considers you family, Nyx replied. She's been hoping for this since the third day we've been here. Smart kid. She gets that from her father. Marcus lifted their joined hands and kissed Nyx's knuckles gently. What about from her mother? Stubbornness, Nyx said with a laugh. Perhaps the ability to recognize a good heart when she finds. The moment stretched between them, full of possibility. Marcus felt years of loneliness beginning to dissolve, replaced by something warm and hopeful. But before he could speak, an alarm chimed from the workshop's security system. They sprang apart as Marcus checked the monitors. 3 Colonial Authority patrol vehicles were approaching the station, their official markings clear in the external lights. Random inspection, Marcus said grimly. They do these occasionally to check for illegal aliens or contraband. Face went pale. How long before they reach here? 10 minutes? Maybe 15? There's nowhere to hide that they won't search, Nyx said, her voice tight with controlled fear. Marcus's mind raced through options. Then he made a decision that surprised himself. Yes, there is, but it means trusting me completely. He led them to a maintenance hatch in the workshop floor. Below lay the station's primary power conduits. A maze of high-energy cables that would mask any life signs from standard scanners. It's dangerous, he warned. The radiation levels won't hurt you immediately, but ... will survive, Nyx said. Firmly, thank you. As they prepared to climb down, Nyx pulled Marcus aside. If they discover us, don't sacrifice yourself. Hey, Zara and I have survived this long, we can disappear again. I won't let them take you, Marcus replied with conviction that surprised them both. Nyx kissed him then, quick but intense, pouring gratitude and growing love into the brief contact. I hope we get the chance to continue this conversation. Will, Marcus promised, sealing the hatch as the patrol vehicles landed outside. The inspection had passed without incident, but it served as a harsh reminder of their precarious situation. In the days that followed, Marcus worked frantically to arrange proper documentation for Nyx and Zara through his old military contacts. The process was slow and expensive, requiring bribes and favors he'd been saving for years. During this tense period, the relationship between Marcus and Nyx deepened. They spent their evenings talking quietly while Zara slept, sharing stories and dreams. The physical attraction between them grew stronger, accompanied by an emotional intimacy that felt both thrilling and terrifying to Marcus. In 3 days, I should have preliminary papers for you both, Marcus reported one evening. Basic work permits and temporary residency status. It's not perfect, but it'll keep you legal while we work on permanent documentation. Nyx's relief was palpable. I don't know how to thank you for this. You don't need to thank me, Marcus replied. We're family now, aren't we? The word family hung between them, loaded with meaning. Nyx moved closer on the small bench where they sat, her hand finding his cheek. Is that what you want? To be bound to us permanently? Yes, Marcus said without hesitation. If you'll have me. Their kiss was deeper this time, full of promise and growing passion. Marcus felt something shift inside him, a warm presence that seemed to settle alongside his own consciousness. Nyx's eyes widened as she felt the same sensation. "At the bond," she whispered, "it's starting." Before Marcus could respond, Zara's voice cut through the moment. "Someone's coming. Someone dangerous." They turned to see her standing in the office doorway, her young face tight with fear. "I can feel him. Anger like burning ice. He's looking for us." Nyx went rigid with terror. "Krell, how did he find us? Who's Krell?" Marcus demanded, but alarms were already sounding from the workshop's security system. On the monitors, he saw a figure in black armor standing at the main entrance. Tall, obviously non-human, with weapon systems clearly visible. "A bounty hunter," Nyx explained quickly. "The Colonial Authority pays well for returned refugees. No questions asked about condition upon delivery." The figure outside raised some kind of energy weapon and fired. The workshop's main door exploded inward, metal fragments scattering across the floor. Through the smoking breach stepped the most intimidating being Marcus had ever seen. Krell stood nearly 7 feet tall, his reptilian features scarred and twisted with decades of violence. His armor was military-grade, probably stolen from a dozen different conflicts. But it was his eyes that truly frightened Marcus, cold, calculating, completely without mercy. "Stellari refugees." Krell's voice carried artificial amplification. "You will surrender immediately or face extreme consequences." "We're registered residents," Marcus called out, stepping protectively in front of Nyx and Zara. "You have no authority." Here Krell's laugh was like grinding metal. "Human, step aside. Your colonial authority cares nothing for proper procedure where aliens are concerned. These two have bounties on their heads." "What bounties?" "They're civilians, refugees from a destroyed world. They're escaped prisoners of war," Krell replied coldly. "Stellari telepaths who aided rebel forces against colonial expansion. Reward for their return is substantial." Marcus looked back at Nyx, who was shaking her head desperately. "That's not true. We never fought anyone. We tried to stay neutral." "Neutrality is rebellion when the authority demands loyalty," Krell said, raising his weapon. "You have 10 seconds to surrender." Marcus made his choice. He grabbed a plasma torch from his workbench and stepped forward. "Over my dead body." "That can be arranged." Krell fired. Marcus dove sideways, the energy blast scorching the wall where he'd been standing. He'd washed over him as he rolled behind a heavy engine block. "Marcus, no," Nyx screamed. But Zara was moving. The young girl stepped out from behind her mother, her small hands beginning to glow with soft silver light. "Stop hurting him." The glow spread from her hands up her arms, and suddenly every piece of electronic equipment in the workshop began operating at maximum efficiency. Diagnostic scanners showed readings Marcus had never seen before. Power tools hummed with enhanced energy. Even the lights grew brighter. Krell paused, his weapon tracking toward Zara. "Interesting. The child shows more potential than expected." "I don't." "You dare touch her," Marcus snarled. Merging from cover with the plasma torch ignited, Krell turned back toward him with obvious contempt. "Primitive human technology against military-grade armor? You are either very brave or very stupid." "Both," Marcus admitted, and lunged forward. The plasma torch carved through Krell's armor like paper, sending the bounty hunter staggering backward. But Krell recovered quickly, bringing up a backup weapon. "Zara, now," Nyx shouted. The girls' glow intensified, and Marcus felt something incredible happen. His plasma torch suddenly burned twice as hot, its beam widening and stabilizing. Every tool on his workbench activated simultaneously, creating a chaos of noise and energy that seemed to confuse Krell's targeting systems. But more than that, Marcus felt Zara's power flowing through him, strength, clarity, and an intuitive understanding of every system in the workshop. He knew exactly where to strike, exactly how to move. The battle was brief but intense. Krell was skilled and experienced, but he'd never fought an enemy enhanced by Stellari abilities. Marcus moved with impossible precision, his improvised weapons, striking with supernatural accuracy. When it was over, Krell lay unconscious on the workshop floor, his armor smoking from multiple plasma burns. "Is he dead?" Marcus asked, breathing heavily. Nix checked quickly. "Unconscious but stable. Your plasma torch was set to stun, not kill." Marcus looked down at the tool in his hand, confused. "I didn't change the setting." Zara smiled weakly, the glow fading from her skin. "I did. Killing leaves dark marks on the soul. Mother taught me that." "What you did back there," Marcus said to Zara, "the way you enhanced everything, ... My gift," Zara replied simply.
What?
"I can make technology work better, stronger, but only for people I trust completely." Marcus knelt down beside her, understanding. Finally dawning, that's why the bounty is so high. They're not just telepaths, you're technological enhancers. Among other things, Nick said softly. But Zara's abilities are still developing. What she did tonight was far beyond anything she'd shown before. Zara looked up at Marcus with those luminous eyes. "I wanted to protect you, like you protected us." "We need to leave," Nick said urgently. "When Krell doesn't report back, others will come," but Marcus was studying the unconscious bounty hunter, an idea forming, maybe not. "What if Krell reported back that you'd escaped, that he lost your trail? You want to let him go?" "I want to give him a reason to lie to his employers." Marcus began searching through Krell's equipment. Every bounty hunter has a code. They get paid for results, not attempts, if he goes back. Empty, dash-handed. ... He loses credibility in future contracts, Nix finished, understanding. But will he agree? Marcus found what he was looking for, Krell's communication device. "Let's ask him." Krell regained consciousness slowly, his reptilian eyes focusing on Marcus with undisguised hatred. The bounty hunter found himself restrained in one of the workshop's maintenance harnesses. His weapons confiscated, but his armor's life support. Systems intact. "Clever, human," Krell growled. "But this changes nothing. Others will come." "That depends on what you tell them," Marcus replied calmly. "Your reputation depends on success, doesn't it? How many failed captures can a bounty hunter survive before clients stop calling?" Krell's eyes narrowed dangerously. "You're suggesting I lie to my employers?" "I'm suggesting you tell them the truth, that your targets escaped and their trail went cold. Happens to every hunter eventually. And in return," Marcus gestured to Zara, who was sitting quietly beside her mother. "In return, you walk away with your reputation intact and a valuable piece of information." Marcus had spent the last hour thinking about this moment, weighing risks and possibilities. The child's abilities. What you witnessed tonight, technology enhancement, system integration, power amplification. Imagine what military applications that could have. Krell's interest was obvious, despite his attempt to remain impassive. "You're offering to sell them, after all?" "I'm offering to make you rich," Marcus corrected. "Not by delivering them to the colonial authority, but by brokering a legitimate partnership." Think about it. Forced labor produces limited results. But willing cooperation? That's where the real value lies. Nick stepped forward, her hand finding Marcus's shoulder. "What are you proposing exactly?" Marcus turned to include both Stellari. In the conversation, a new life for all of us. Not as fugitives, but as partners in a legitimate technology development company. Krell here becomes our security consultant instead of our hunter. Everyone profits. The authority will never allow it, Krell said, but his tone had shifted from hostile to calculating. "The authority doesn't have to know," Marcus replied. "We establish the business in the Outer Rim, beyond their direct control. Independent colonies need advanced technology, and they pay well for it. No questions asked about the source." Zara looked up at her mother. "Could we really stop running? Have a real home?" Nix's expression was conflicted. "It's risky. Trusting him." She gestured toward Krell. "Riskier than staying fugitives forever?" Marcus countered. "At least this way, Zara can use her gifts openly. Help people instead of just hiding." Krell was silent for a long moment, clearly weighing options. Finally, he spoke. "What assurance do I have that you won't simply disappear once I release my claim?" Marcus unhooked one of his most prized possessions from the wall, his father's military service medal. This belonged to my father. Won it in the Centauri campaign. It's worth more than money to me. He tossed it to Krell. Hold on to it until our first business transaction is complete. Krell examined the medal carefully. A genuine Colonial Defense Force citation. Valuable indeed, both monetarily and sentimentally. So we have a deal? We have a tentative agreement, Krell corrected. Contingent on seeing actual results from the child's abilities. Zara, Marcus said gently, would you be willing to show him what you can do? Not as a captive, but as a partner. Zara looked to her mother, who nodded slowly. The young girl approached one of Marcus's most complex diagnostic computers, a unit. That had been malfunctioning for weeks. She placed her small hands on the console. The transformation was immediate and dramatic. The computer's displays blazed to life with information Marcus had never seen before. Detailed schematics, efficiency ratings, optimization suggestions. The machine wasn't just working. It was performing far beyond its original specifications. Remarkable, Krell admitted. The enhancement is not just temporary? Permanent, Nix replied. Stellari gifts create lasting improvements. We don't just fix technology, we evolve it. Marcus felt a surge of pride and affection watching Zara work. The bond between them had strengthened during the fight, and now he could sense her joy at being able to use her abilities openly. Through their connection, he also felt Nix's growing hope that they might actually have found a solution. There's one more thing, Marcus said to Krell. This partnership includes protection for my family. Anyone who threatens them answers to all of us. Family. Krell looked between the three of them with new understanding. The bond has been completed? Yes, Nix said simply, taking Marcus's hand. We are linked now, permanently. Krell actually smiled, a disturbing expression on his scarred features, but seemingly genuine. God, then you have chosen well, Stellari. This human has honor. Rare in any species, so you'll do it. Report that we escaped? I will report that my targets proved more resourceful than anticipated and have disappeared beyond my current tracking capabilities, Krell said formally. In the meantime, I am intrigued by this business proposition. Akeda felt relief flood through him, echoed by similar emotions from both Nix and Zara through their bond. Then let's start planning our new life. Over the following hours, they worked out preliminary details. Krell would provide security expertise and contacts in the Outer Rim colonies. Marcus would handle the engineering and business management. Nix and Zara would offer their unique abilities to develop revolutionary technology as dawn broke over Meridian Station. Marcus looked around his workshop, the place that had been his solitary refuge for 3 years. Soon, it would be abandoned. For a new adventure, but he felt no sadness about leaving. His real home now was the people he'd chosen to protect and love. Zara fell asleep, curled against his side while they worked, trusting him completely. Nix's hand remained intertwined with his, their bond growing stronger by the hour. Even Krell had become an unlikely ally, his predatory instincts redirected toward protecting rather than hunting. What should we call our company? Marcus asked as they finalized their plans. Starlight Solutions, Zara mumbled sleepily. Like Mother's World, but for helping people. Marcus smiled, looking at his strange new family. 3 months later, their small company had established operations on Haven Colony, developing revolutionary improvements to everything from water purifiers to spacecraft engines. Marcus had never been happier, surrounded by people who loved him and work that truly mattered. The gift Zara had brought him wasn't just her remarkable abilities, it was the gift of belonging, of purpose, of a future worth building together among the stars.